So I thought today we could have a bit of a chat with the team, minus Simon, who's out walking his dog, on Mental Health Month, and specifically psychologists are human too. We also start to experience issues like anxiety or depression or PTSD, etc. So today we'll have a little bit of a chat how maybe we have kind of come across this in ourselves and how we've either managed to get out of it or how we are getting out of it, and the things that we do to inoculate ourselves from coming back worse in the future. So I'll start off with, I've written a blog and it's on our website, so if you want to go and read it. It's about the time I developed post-traumatic stress disorder after I went on the second dive to get my diving certificate, and that was over 3 decades ago. And on that particular day, I probably should have never gone to do it. The week before, I had gone to Robe and we dived off the jetty, and I realised, that was the time I realised that I've got this stunning thing that helps with swimming but is really shit in diving, and that's floatability. I float. It'd be pretty hard for me to drown, but you don't want to float when you're diving. You actually want to be able to get under the water. So this particular second dive, you had to get out into the ocean off Glenelg, quite far, in 20 feet of water, go submerge to the bottom, take all your gear off, including my weights to keep me down there, swim on the bottom, come back, wear the gear and go to the top to pass the exam. The week before, a white pointer had taken a diver not that far away, so in my brain it was dangerous already. I'd broken up with a boyfriend the night before. It was a diver. I felt seasick, so when I got there I thought I was going to go under and throw up into my regulator and drown. So all reasons for me to never have attempted the dive, but I felt embarrassed, so I thought, damn it, I have to do it. Went under, about 3-4 feet underwater, regulator fell out, started to swallow water, rushed to the top, panicking, wanted to get out. The instructor said, no, everyone panics, you'll be fine, get back down there. Did it the second time, went deeper, I nearly drowned. Got to the top, they didn't want me to get out. They said, you're not panicking, so I screamed and said, I'm a psychologist, I was panicking, I know what a panic attack is, let me out now. And they let me out by that stage, and I just sat there in shock and embarrassment, because everyone went diving, got their certificates, I didn't. Got back home, hopped under the shower for about 20 seconds, got out, went to bed and collapsed until morning. Got up the next day, put my bathers on and went to work, because I used to swim every morning in a half-size Olympic pool at work. It was a rehab pool. Thought nothing of it. A bit disappointed. Got into the pool. The moment my head hit the water, I felt like I was under the ocean out in Glenelg, drowning again. I remember coming up and spluttering and going, what the hell? What was that? I'm in a pool. It's a pool I swim in every morning. This is bullshit, do it again, tried again, couldn't do it, tried for 10 minutes, every time I did it made it worse. Eventually I got out, went to have a shower. The moment the water hit my face, I freaked out. I got dried, I went inside, and I spent 6 months trying to desensitise myself to be able to swim again. Yeah. I had it under control, somewhat, but even now, if I haven't swum for a long time, and right now I probably haven't been in the water for about 4 years, I know that the next time I'm in the water, the first my head hits the water, it will all come back to me, and then I have to remind myself, I'm swimming with dolphins and I can do this, and then I'll almost hypnotise myself into it. But my initial reaction is to be really quite traumatised. What I'm glad I did was I got into the water the next day. Yeah. I think if I had left it and hadn't been out to the ocean again for months or years, I don't think I would have gotten on top of it. But because I insisted on swimming every day, I started off with backstroke where the water wasn't in my face, and I started off with a dive mask and then a snorkel, and then took the snorkel off and just had the dive mask, and then I had just the glasses, and then I could swim. It took me 6 months.
Were you thinking at the time, what would I tell a client if they were experiencing this, or how did you kind of get to this, I need to have
because I'd been treating people with PTSD, and the desensitisation was the longer you wait, the harder it is to desensitise. So I knew myself straight away, I could never swim again or go in the water, and that would be fine, but then would my PTSD generalise to lots of other things?
Yeah.
And really, you can't not have water on your face. You're in the shower.
No.
You know what I mean? I didn't want to have like PTSD trauma and panic attacks every time I got in the shower.
No.
You know, like a 2-year-old, oh, it's in my eyes, you know, that stuff. So I forced myself, and I kind of used myself as an example of how to desensitize. I have to say that if I was doing it now, I'd use VR of me swimming in the ocean and doing some really cool stuff, and I think I would have actually desensitized faster. But 30 odd years ago, that wasn't available.
No.
You know, so now I would actually use VR, and we've done VR successfully with these types of things with people in PTSD. With attacks, or you know, being a passenger or a driver or a pedestrian, etc. So I think the VR would have sped it up.
Yeah.
You know, so I think if I was wearing VR and I was snorkeling or diving with lovely creatures in the Great Barrier Reef, my brain would have acclimatised a hell of a lot faster.
Yeah. I think it sounds like, though, because being in the psychology field, it was almost easier to go, I know that I need to do this because of X, Y, Z, and so it's easier to get in the pool the next day. But for clients to go, if that was them, I don't know if I can get in the pool, or not having that confidence to step in right the next day, having VR.
I kind of agree with you and kind of don't, because we will often treat people who've been in a car accident who've said to us, I was petrified, but I made myself drive really quickly because I knew if I didn't, I'd find it really hard to drive. You know? So they force themselves to drive, or they have a job where they have to drive.
Yeah.
The ones that do badly are the ones often that have had physical injuries where they can't drive, which means they don't drive because of their physical injuries, and then their trauma becomes worse, and then 6 months later they have to get in the car. And this is, again, you know, I don't want to harp on it, but we've had a few where VR has helped them.
Totally.
And it is really interesting. But you're right, I think as psychologists we kind of can identify with this with people, or, you know, the anxiety stuff, or when bad things happen, how we respond, and we normalise it. We don't go, it's shameful to be depressed. We go, it's actually normal to be depressed here. However, how do I keep myself from being depressed for months and months, if not years?
Yeah.
What things can I put in place to reduce my depression time? Or, like we were talking before, Hugh, what things can I do to inoculate myself so next time I get depressed, I stay depressed for only a very short time?
Yeah, I think that's interesting though, because knowing, you know, I'm not always the best at practicing what we preach, and knowing the right things, like those days when you get up and you're just in a foul mood, and I will sit on the couch and I'll be sitting there for hours and I think, you know, I mean, I have the luxury of doing this job, being like, what would I tell a client? It doesn't always help, and I think sometimes reminding myself, okay, internally, not doing the best, what can I use externally? You know, who can I talk to, and or someone to pick up on my mood, and they'll say, all right, let's go for a walk, or do you want to have a chat or something? But I think, you know, a lot of the times I fall down the same, or fall into the same traps as what I see so many of my clients doing, and I think knowing is half the battle, and so often it's the doing that's the hardest part, but having those strategies to get that ball rolling is so important.
Do you think though, Chris, because we said this in our pain group today, of knowing pain science doesn't mean you're not going to have pain. So knowing is very different to operationalising or doing, and you're right, you know, it's not like anyone thinks that smoking is a health habit, or that eating a packet of Tim Tams is good for you, but people still do it. So knowing is different to doing. Do you think when you're feeling one of those days that you feel like life sucks, that you think to yourself, I've got all these strategies, but it's too overwhelming? Do you sometimes say to yourself, you know what, just do one small thing? Instead of going, oh, it's A, B, C, D, and I can put the plan in place and I'll be a champion, do you just go, let's just pick one, and it might be super simple, and you just do that one thing?
My little trick is always, in my head I'm always saying just keep moving. And it might be like cleaning. I find cleaning really good for that, because it's almost mindless, but it's also mindful in a sense that you're doing, you're moving, you're cleaning, you get the satisfaction of a nice clean room or house. once I've ticked that box, I'm not sitting back on that couch. I'm walking to the shop, or I'm saying to my partner, hey, let's go out and, you know, go somewhere. And then it builds and builds. And I think that's the big thing with clients is every step, we can break that down further. There has to be a point where there is the minimum amount of effort and you have enough motivation. And then after that, let's keep that moving. So,
do you think that's like a circuit breaker?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think it can feel like you're in a hole, but, you know, let's toss a bit more dirt and then you can get a bit of a step up and, you know, keep building it into, you know, that process. So, I don't know. I think also just reminding, like I'll get into the car after work. This is a big thing for me, I think. And I'll be tense from the day. You know, I've had heaps of sessions, I've got, you know, reports due, you know, there's all this admin to catch up on, or I've had, you know, a really difficult session. Get in the car and I clench the wheel, and that's kind of my trigger to, all right, breathe. You know, that's my kind of mindfulness. I think a lot of things I talk about clients, like find your anchor. It might be breathing, it might be, you know, something you're doing. Mine is grabbing that steering wheel, and that's my kind of grounding moment. And it's like, okay, this drive home, I can't achieve anything, I can't do anything. Giving myself permission in this time to just relax, to breathe. So
good.
I think those are kind of those, and this is what you learn, right? I think knowing is good, but as you start to learn, you get better and things become more intuitive rather than rote learned or sort of deliberate. So I think, you know, I'm still learning, you know, everything. I have plenty of sessions where I see myself or things I've thought or things I've done with clients, and it's a little reminder that, you know, I'm still working on myself and still trying to improve. So
I think we're all works in progress because circumstances change, and what worked something 5 years ago may not work now. You know, or what work in a certain situation won't work in this one. Like for me, if I'm feeling down or flat, I go cook something and I feel immediately better. Well, I can't actually cook something when I'm here. Or if I'm driving somewhere, or if I'm out, I can only do it if I'm home. So it works in that environment, but it doesn't work in this environment. So you're right, we have to have all different types of things in our toolbox that we can go, well, this works.
Yeah, and I think the team here is really good for that as well. Like, nothing better than Hugh walks into my room, or I pass Hannah in the hallway, or Maria, I'm always coming into your room, or, you know, I'll chat to Simon.
Or we feed Frankie some treats. Because he sucked us in again.
And I think sometimes that's that circuit breaker. You get snapped out of your own kind of thoughts and feelings, and, you know, it's just that moment where things kind of change slightly and you're like, okay, what now? But yeah, it's...
And sometimes it's talking to each other and normalising things like, well, yeah, of course you're going to feel that way. You're normal, you're human, you're not a robot. And I think with our clients, don't you guys find that some of them feel almost a bit ashamed for feeling this way? And I'll often say to them, your response is not abnormal. The situation is abnormal. Your response is normal to an abnormal situation, and it changes the perspective of, oh, it's not me. Okay, so what can I do though? You know, and it's that talking. Hannah, what do you do as a circuit breaker?
Well,
do you close your door and dance around?
I you know what, it's actually not that far from. I actually end up closing my door, and I am a sucker for just laying on the floor. So if the door is closed and someone knocks and I'm on the floor, it's probably because I'm doing my own grounding rather than being a little bit insane.
So you haven't dropped dead, and we don't have to go grab the paddles and put them on you. Okay, just confirming.
Good to know.
Sometimes, and I think I find one of the things that has stuck with me through learning psychology and becoming a psychologist is doing the things that we would tell our clients to do, and realising that it can be really hard, and that the energy or the time or the motivation that we don't have even for ourselves, being able to sympathise with clients. So like, asking you to do this, I know how hard it is to do myself, and so finding the different ways that grounding has worked for me, because I've seen my own psychologist and we've worked through, like, often we do the kind of feet to the floor, but sometimes that's not enough of a circuit breaker for me, and so sometimes I don't know if it's the neurodivergence in me, but I love the floor, and I just want to get on the floor, and breathe, and I can...
So just checking, you don't do a Jesus where you lie flat down?
No. I feel like that would be
Okay.
super uncomfortable, and
Okay.
I'd probably like heighten all of my nervous system by laying flat. But anything where I can just like lay my back down, and it's a great stretch. I'm a huge stretcher because I notice if I just, especially sitting at a desk for a long period of time, where I can even do a check-in with myself and go, today's been a big day, and I can genuinely feel it in the way that my posture is and how tense my shoulders are, and it can sometimes just take a quick stretch for me to get that moment of, okay, I am back in my body and I am back here, and you know what, I can do the next thing and the next thing, but I did need to do a bit of a stretch, or I did need to remind my body that, you know what, it's okay, we're fine, we're just feeling a lot of things at the moment, and the circuit breaker's like on the floor. Doesn't have to be on the floor, but anything that helps to kind of bring me back into my body is usually the kind of critical circuit breaker.
It is funny, isn't it? You're right. I think one of you guys said that the different things at different stages of your life. Like for about 20 years, and I'm trying to think when was the last time I did this, and I reckon it was since, I haven't really done it since I met my partner Tony, but prior to that, for at least 20 years, when I felt a bit raw, I would actually start to sing this song at the top of my lungs. And it was one particular song, and the particular song was Mana Mana Pa Tipi Tipi from Sesame Street.
That's a good one.
Okay, yeah.
So I'd be like, Mana Mana Pa Tipi Tipi, Mana Mana Pa Tipi Tipi, Mana Mana Pa Tipi 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 Tipi, Mana Mana Mana, and I top of my lungs, and it was so ridiculous and ludicrous, and I'd remember all these Muppet things singing it, and it would put such a smile on my face that I'd be like, I feel good now.
Yeah, a good dance, a good song that you just can't, you know, hold on to some of those things when you are singing a song like that.
Yeah.
It's good.
So you think, guys, we should do the Madagascar Like to Move It at 1:10 every day in our lunch break? We'll get Angela to blast it through some system, and we'll dance around the circle around all the office, and like.
And any clients that are here with us
have to get up and dance with us.
join,
and then we'll be like, yes. And everyone will immediately go, geez, we were silly, but silliness is good.
It is so
Silliness is poking at yourself to go, it's not dangerous what you're going through.
Totally. Yeah.
I like it.
I feel like I want to add, because I think sometimes people can have this feeling of, you know, I need to deal with this by myself, or that, you know, I'm the only one experiencing this and I can't really reach out to a psychologist to talk about this stuff. And even pizza has arrived.
I'll be like this.
Alright, sure.
Be like,
So I guess we've talked a bit about circuit breakers, about what we do to kind of interrupt maybe that flow of feeling a bit down, feeling a bit negative. Maybe that might have some negative thoughts associated with it as well. But I think that a really important factor in all of this is, what do you do in your day-to-day life to prevent yourself kind of getting to that point? Because constantly kind of finding yourself in a state of difficulty, or feeling down, or feeling super anxious, and having to pull yourself out of it is also kind of exhausting. So this idea of sort of maintenance or hygiene, I think, is a really important factor to consider. And it's not always, you know, we don't always automatically know what will make us feel better. We also don't always automatically know what will make us feel worse. There are things that we can feel like doing that might actually make us feel worse. There can be things that we don't feel like doing that can make us feel better. So,
Look, I think you know, when you're feeling down, and we often get clients that go, I felt crap, so I thought if I ate some chocolate or chips, I deserved it. It made me feel better. And then you have them and you're like, I actually feel sick.
I feel way worse now.
I feel way worse now.
Yeah.
So things that we think are going to make us feel better sometimes actually don't long term.
Yeah.
Or even short term.
Absolutely.
So you're right, we have to get a whole collection of skills in our toolkit. And, you know, years ago I got clients to put together a toolkit and put, you know, 10 to 20 things in there and laminate them. And so they didn't have to think, they had to do things that they could do really quickly. And they could just close their eyes, pull a thing out, and it said, pat the cat for 5 minutes, and they went and patted the cat for 5 minutes. They only did that if they had a cat. Or, you know, go and read for 20 minutes, or watch something funny on TV for, you know, go watch a Big Bang Theory episode for 20 minutes. And you didn't have to think, because you were too down to think. You just pulled it out, and whatever it told you to do, you did it. And that was part of your toolkit.
Yeah.
You know, and I think we do it as psychologists without realising we do it. It's just a toolkit we carry up here. But as I think you said before, Hannah, you can come and talk to one of us. You know, sometimes it doesn't matter that we go through similar things to you. We've probably got more toolkits than you have, or we might help you fine-tune your toolkits.
And to know which ones to try and which ones might not fit or work, and having a toolkit, I think, is also useful for me as well, because I know that sometimes the things that I think will work in my toolkit don't for some reason, and I don't try and argue with my brain. I go, right, the lying on the floor did not work, and so what else can I use in this time to help me come back to myself? And that is where the toolkit comes in handy. So being able to talk to somebody who can help, like, co-design your own toolkit of things that work for you can be really helpful.
Look, and I think if you guys think of your skills as a toolkit, toolkits don't stay the same for 40 years. You know, you pull some tools up and they worked, but looking a bit scungy, and you can chuck them out and get something new. Or you find something, oh, that's a really interesting thing, I've never seen one of those before, let me get one of those, and you add it to your toolkit. And I think psychological toolkits are exactly the same. What worked, you know, for me 20 years ago, screaming manapa tippy tippy at the top of my voice at my age currently isn't working, you know, but doing something else, and there's lots of other things I do now, works better.
Yeah. I always use the metaphor because I like a bit of woodworking, but as you know, I say to clients, if I give you a hammer, you're not going to be able to do a whole lot with it. I throw in a saw, give you a chisel, maybe there's a hand plane in there. Now you can start to kind of do something with it. But it's also a skill, a skill factor in there as well. Like, there's only so much you can do if you've never tried to use a hammer before, right?
Yeah, you just bash it.
But the more bashing you do, the better you get at that bashing, or whatever it is. And I think, you know, that's kind of where we can come in, is we can help with that skill. It's a teamwork process, but we have that sort of...
Well, we're tutoring, we're mentoring the tradesperson in this. You know, we might say, well, let me show you, and then you can go away and practice it.
Yeah. And there's plenty of times where clients will surprise me and they'll be like, oh, you know, I've been doing this, and I think, that's brilliant. I've never thought of that before. Yes. I'm going to add that to my toolkit. And you know, it's great. I think I learn a lot from clients. Hopefully they learn something from me. But I think it's great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Excellent. Thank you, everyone. And as we said, psychologists go through exactly the same stuff that you guys go through, and we have our own toolkits, and maybe we can mentor you to stock up your toolkit and not just use a hammer, but start to expand outwards. Thank you.